What up, Knicks fans? Big Nick Burt with the Big Nick Energy. We got some drama alert at Knicks Fan TV. Ashley Moss is out. She tweeted today that she will no longer be on Knicks Fan TV for mental health reasons, mostly stemming from a Twitter spat that started on the post-game broadcast from the Memphis loss. And what happened was Julito McCullum, he called in, as he normally does, I suppose, and they got into a big, not even a big, honestly, like on air, they didn't even really fight at all. It was more that he was stepping on her toes, like over speaking and not really listening, and she was not really willing to budge or make concessions, or at least, So I got the whole transcript here. Got the full Knicks Fan TV segment of the original statement, their conversation, his next day's statement, and some tweets. And I just want to start this off by saying that Ashley Moss has access to a side of the NBA and a side of sports that a regular fan doesn't have access to. So when she says something about the Knicks, about our fans, and the way we are perceived on the national stage, it carries some weight, all right? She's not just some random person. She's not me, all right? When I say something, it's like, whatever, you're just some guy. But Ashley Moss, like, she's part of it. She's part of the circuit. She has access to players. She has access to media in a way that we don't. So when she says something, you kind of got to take it as fact until it's not. But that being said, I don't think Knicks fans are any worse than any other team's fans. But no matter how bad or good the fans are, the players are taking that into consideration when they're making their moves. So maybe it would be in our best interest to start being better fans, right? That's the argument for Ashley Moss. To be more level-headed, to be more patient, and less extreme. But Julito, he doesn't want to hear that. And honestly, nobody wants to hear that you're the problem in the relationship, right? Nobody wants to hear that. And we aren't doing ourselves any favors by spitting on players during a playoff series, during a pandemic. Like, that's just not a good look. So when Ashley Moss says Knicks fans can be extreme, that's what she means. And just like Julito said, other fans are just as extreme. Boston fans, Phillies fans, we all know the reputations. So it's not so, or at least he doesn't believe it's such a determining factor to say that the fans are causing people to avoid us. But if we want to be competitive, a competitive destination for star players, we need to make the Garden the absolute best place to play when they win and when they lose, all right? Because at the end of the day, there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, and the fans need to be able to endure all of that and be supportive through all of that. Now, I'm not saying to baby our players, and I'm not saying, to lose your passion, but at the same time, what you say today has consequences tomorrow, right? Like, the whole league saw Trae Young get spit on, right? We all saw that. And that just doesn't fly when it's like, oh, do I want to go work at nice, quiet Utah or super hectic New York City? And I think that is becoming more and more of an issue for professional sports. But Julito, doesn't think so. Doesn't think so. He thinks that it's not the fans at all. You know, it's the ownership, it's the front office, it's the players themselves. I mean, it can be a lot of different things. But at the end of the day, the players have a choice, and they could be choosing to avoid us because of us fans. And if Ashley is saying that, yeah, she's heard that for sure, I put some weight into it. But at the same time, you know, there's a lot of there's more to it than just the fans, right? So, all right, that's my condensed version of what we got going on here. And with all that laid out, let's look at the clips. I got the original clip, so you'll see the original clip. You'll see of what she said. You'll see the conversation she and Julito had, then some Twitter beef, and his next day statement, and then I'll hop back in at the end.
It gets contentious sometimes because the fans make it 1,000 times harder than it is normally. Like, look, it's already a hard environment to play in, from the Garden to the media to the fan base, but then you pile on with some extremists who just make it even more just contentious to exist in that. And you know, I say this all the time, and this is why I always preach to not change the way that New York fans are and not change their passion, but to maybe sometimes just dial it back, simply because in a league that's more player friendly than ever before, they don't have to tolerate it. They don't have to stay in that environment, and they don't have to come to an environment where they feel that they're constantly under attack. And that's not because they're not built for it. Nobody wants to exist in a toxic environment. Nobody. I don't care how tough you are. You don't want to have to go into your home every single game or every other game and feel like there are daggers being thrown at you from every corner of the arena. Nobody wants to deal with that. So it's not about not being tough. It's not about not being built for New York. There's levels to it. There you can be built for something, but not want to deal with the intensity all of the time, constantly on go.
But I want to say this. I kind of want to push back on your take, Ashley, about you know, the toxic fans being.
Push back, then, boo boo. Come and push back. Let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm here. You know,
let's do it.
These Knicks fans have been dealing with watching horrid play for 20 years, 10 years, however long you want to call it. We're the same Knicks fans that chant MVP during your preseason. We're the same Knicks fans that watch every game, study every game. We've been here. So to say that, like, us being toxic is why, you know, stars don't want to come here, I think that's unfair, to be honest. You know, I think it's guys like Julius Randle. If you want to be honest, it doesn't look like he wants to play here anymore, right? And that's no one's doing but his own, right? I think when we keep pushing the narrative of maybe like 10% of the fan base as the fan base, that's unfair. That's the best word I can figure out. Like, it's unfair to even speak that, because those are the little kids, you know, behind the computers, just started watching, sees the game, don't really know the game. That's not all the fan base. The fan base are the ones who fight for each other. The fan base are the ones who get up, who spend their last few dollars to go sit in the nosebleed section of each game. That's the fans that are true Knicks fans. So we keep pushing this narrative, especially someone like you with such a powerful voice in the community. I don't think that bodes well for us as fans, because that's not us. You know what I mean?
Well, I hear you, but I also got to push back and disagree with you, because I'm not saying, and I started off that entire statement saying I don't think Knicks fans should change. I think that at times they should dial back. And I'm saying that simply because, as somebody who interviews players on a regular basis and has these conversations, they don't have to deal with toxicity night in and night out if they don't want to. It's a player. Hold on. It's a players-led league. And that's not saying you have to go ahead and stroke someone's ego. That's not saying that, you know, you can't boo someone. That's an individual thing. If you want to go ahead and boo your players, boo your players. But I do think at times it takes a different level. It goes to a different level more times than it shouldn't. And it reflects in the things that players, both current and former, have said about the fan base. I'm not making it up. If you don't believe me, read the quote from Patrick Ewing. Read the quote from some of the other guys who've played for the Knicks. Just because they're tough enough to deal with it doesn't mean that they necessarily always want to have to. And that's my point.
But this is the thing. Every team has toxic fans. I was literally in the spaces with Washington Wizard fans while Bradley Beal's wife was in the space telling her how horrible of a person she is because her husband's playing, right? Her husband's not playing good. And this is a guy who's given his blood, sweat, and tears to the Washington Wizards for many years. He was drafted there, right? So to just point out the Knicks fans, I know this is a Knicks show, but to point out the Knicks fans and say, it to me felt like you were saying we are the reason why no one wants to come here. And I think that's untrue because if you go everywhere, you don't think the Utah Jazz fans are watching them win 2 games out of 15, out of however many, and they are not cursing these guys out. It's just New Yorkers are louder. We're a little more bolder and we're on a bigger platform and a bigger stage. You see, anybody could tweet about the Knicks. A kid who literally said, "Oh, I'm a Cam Reddish fan. I've been an Atlanta fan since he's been there. Now I'm coming to join the Knicks." He got retweeted 200 times and got 2,000 followers. That's just what the power of the fan base.
What you're doing, and I'm not making it just the Knicks fan thing. We're talking about the Knicks, so obviously I'm going to focus on the Knicks. There are many fan bases that are, and again, this goes back to there's nothing wrong with being passionate about your team. And I've been at games in a lot of arenas throughout the country, and the Knicks fans aren't the only fans that boo and also cheer their players in the same thing. What I'm saying is a lot of the time it reaches levels that it does not have to reach, and people don't want to, and players don't want to deal with that.
So I look at it like if you choose to put the energy, and I'm not talking about you.
One more minute. Julito 1 point.
I got you. If you choose to, as a player, to only focus on the 500 people that are being toxic over the millions of people who support you, who show kindness. I go to the games and sit courtside. I see how much people show kindness, so much love when he's sitting courtside, who show love to his Kendra, who show love. If you only choose to focus on the handful of fans that are doing that, that is on you, and that is more of a reason you do not need to be. And there's more of a reason why you do not need to be here, because clearly your mental is
that's my point right there. But that's my point right there, is that you keep telling players how they should or should not feel about the energy that they receive. You're not on the court. And I understand that you're a fan, and I understand that I'm a fan, and I understand that we're all fans here. But this ideology of just because you think that, oh, well, if you sign up to play in New York, you should have to deal with it, does not mean that a player has to. And that's the thing that you guys aren't understanding. Just because... Hold on, just because you think that that's you knew what it was when you signed up does not mean that someone has to deal with it. And that's all I'm saying. So you can't be upset when guys of a certain caliber don't want to come and deal with that night in and night out. Yeah, there are good fans and there are bad fans, but a lot of the energy sometimes in that arena, and I've been in the Garden many a times. I grew up a New York Knicks fan. I'm from there. Like, I've lived my entire life in New York. So I can tell you that it can be a toxic environment. Players, especially in a league that's player first, don't want to deal with that if they don't have to. That's my point.
I'll end it on this, because I know you got to wrap the show up, right? With Julius Randle, he chooses to do this, right? We're not being toxic because we just think he needs to play better. It's everything that comes with it. It's the fact that he has to be a hot topic he picks and chooses when he wants to be a leader. In that way that he picks and chooses when he wants to go and talk to the people. He says, "Oh, we win a game, I'm going to be on my phone ordering DoorDash while I finally answer questions." He loses the game, no comment. What type of leader it's
why are you focusing, but real quick, why are you only focusing on Julius Randle? This is not a Julius Randle isolated, but Julius Randle's not the first person to speak about the fans and have an issue with the toxic environment that sometimes the Garden can be. So why are you only making it a Julius Randle thing? I didn't say anything about Randle. I'm just speaking in general, and it's not just a Julius Randle thing. So if it was Julius Randle thing, but no, hold on. If it was just a Julius Randle thing, then I can say, well, maybe it's just Julius Randle. Maybe he just has a salt. Maybe he's just a little bit more sensitive. But it's not. You can go through the history of the New York Knicks, and there have been many players who have put this jersey on throughout the years that have complained about the same thing. So why are you only focusing on Randle?
And many of players have not been the leader of this team, the New York Knicks. I'm not talking about any other player. Patrick Ewing had moments where he spoke about it, but Patrick Ewing gave us his blood, sweat, and tears for 15 years. Julius Randle has had 2 bad seasons out of 3. And this season is not just a bad season, it's his worst statistical season in probably his career since he broke his leg his first season. It's not this, it's about if you... And it's not just us saying he's the leader, right? It's even Quentin Grimes in his last press conference said he's our best player, he's our leader, right? So when you do that, you got to look at who's looking up to you, right? All those kids that's on the floor, that's on the side, that's not getting minutes, like the Deuces, they're looking up to him. If I'm a new kid in the NBA and I'm looking up and my leader is Julius Randle, I would be let down. And I think we as fans are let down because he is not giving us what we need as a leader night in and night out. And it's not about the gameplay. Look, we're a mediocre team. We play mediocre basketball. I don't even care about his gameplay anymore, right? It's just the fact that you can't even just go out after a valiant effort tonight. He played an okay game, a good game per se. And then you go out your way to get technical fouled twice, to have to get ejected. That's on him as a leader, and it's something that the Knicks fans, it's not toxic at this point. It's something that the Knicks fans are no longer settling for.
Right.
So that's
appreciate the call, bro. Who you guys won that debate in the chat, man? Ash or Julito? We got the poll up in the chat right now. I'm tired. I'm about to shut this thing down.
So when I got on last night's Knicks Fan TV show, like I always do, like when I'm asked to do, like when I'm right, I went into the show wanting to speak about the game. But as I was on hold listening, I heard something that startled me and that bothered me because it's to me becoming a continued narrative. That it is the Knicks fan fault and blame that superstars don't want to come to New York City. And that is false. You can put it on James Dolan. You can put it on the front office. You can put it on the head coaching. You could put it on the players. But I think that at the very end of the day, you do not need to put it on the Knicks fan, because I have watched people cry when we lost game 20 of a losing season. I watched people cry when Carmelo Anthony hit the game winner buzzer beater to beat the Chicago Bulls and then to take it into overtime for a game that meant nothing. I watch people cry when they can't get Knicks tickets. I watch people cry when they can't get MSG Go. I watch people get upset when Xfinity canceled MSG and they said I'm completely changing networks and cables because I need Knicks. That's who I speak for. So when I got on the show yesterday, I spoke for those people. So if you actually was challenged with her take and she didn't accept the challenge and didn't like the challenge, so she decided to fight. And I'm never fighting a person, especially a woman, when it comes to a verbal debate. I'm going to speak my opinion, whether you like it or not. I'm not going to talk over you, right? I'm mindful that it's only a few minutes and it was and the show was wrapping up. I'm also, I'm also mindful that I can't hear what's happening on the show. You can't really hear that the music is being played. So I don't know. I'm just talking, right? So I didn't speak over her, nor did I demean her or her as a person or even her takes. I just challenged it. And I think I didn't do anything wrong in challenging someone's take, right? And she brought it over to Twitter and then was still challenged, and then she threw low blows. Listen, I don't know what world that being a B-list actor is a bad thing, but sign me up every single day to be a B-list actor. Sign me the fuck up. If you want to, listen, to be honest, I didn't even really think I was a B-list actor. I thought I was more EFG. But if you want to give me B-list, cool. But you are never going to demean or shoot down what I've given to this acting world at all. Right. And that's coming from a dude. I'm from Glenwood Projects in Brooklyn. We used to eat ramen noodles every day. The fact that I was able, there was a point in my career, in my life, where the only thing I could watch on replay all day was Crooklyn. So for Spike Lee to give me the opportunity he gave me and direct my very first project, and not just direct my very first project, also made me the lead of the Jordan 20th anniversary commercial. Also gave me, I can go on the list. You are never going to demean. And I don't have to stoop low and give low blows because someone challenged my takes. And then to play victim as if I challenged her integrity is actually it's actually a low-hanging fruit. Because at the end of the day, I would never, ever, let me let you know something. I have fought for and stood by women in the sports media world since the day I started being in this space. I've championed women. I've championed Monica McNutt. I have championed women in this space, and I continue to champion women in this space. Anytime, if you listen to KCDA, anytime a woman gets up on this show, I make sure that I champion their voices, because regardless of it, anytime women are in a male-dominated space, their voices go overlooked, and that is never going to happen when I'm around. But especially because women of color are often shunned, disrespected, and they also are quieted when they speak up. So I would never, as a guy who has 3 daughters, I would never in life shoot down a woman's perspective on anything. I'm always a space for it. So to say that I challenged an integrity was uncalled for, and it was downright wrong. If you are in this space, that means you are ready to be challenged. You are ready to be challenged if you are in this space. I tweet things all day long and people challenge me all day, and I don't come out my face. I don't disrespect. I may challenge back, or I just sit it out because it's not my fight. But I would never disrespect someone. And she also tried to go out her way to act like I was calling Knicks Fan TV a zealous show. Do you not understand? Me and CP have conversations where I let him know anything that I can do for the show. I'm always here. To me, Knicks Fan TV is A plus. It's on the A plus list. What JD does on Knicks Fan TV, JD can talk with the best of them. JD deserves to be on ESPN right now, not yesterday, not tomorrow, right now. CP deserves, my brother CK2K deserves to be right next to the Skips and the Shannon Sharps of the world. You're never going to say Julito is not fighting for the fans. You're never going to say Julito. I'm always for the fans, by the fans. And if you got a problem with it, if the pot is too hot, get off the stove. Get off the stove. And I know there's maybe some people who say it's bullying, it's this, it's that. And if that's your prerogative, cool. But I've never bullied a person in my life. I bully the bullies, if you want to be honest. Right? So all I'm going to say is I meant well in my argument. I stood 10 toes down on my argument. I never at one time shunned away from my argument. And I also left it on the show. She chose to bring it on Twitter. And listen, if you want to box, I could box with the best of them. I'm going to just be honest with you. I went to school for journalism, if you want to be technical, and I'm not a journalist. I'm a fan, simply, and that's it. I'm a fan. But if you want to box, we can box. I wish her well. I pray that she does well in her future endeavors. I pray that all women in the media space have a voice. I would never take away a voice from any woman. But as I said in my tweet, I'll end it with this. I felt energy from Shorty from the beginning. Every time I come on the show, she rolls her eyes. Every time I come on the show, she's looking down, preoccupied. And this is something, honestly, I dealt with my whole life. I'm a presence. I'm aware of that. Whether it's for my career, whether it's just for my personality, I'm a presence. Not to toot my horn, but that's just the truth. Anytime I come around spaces, sometimes automatically before they even hear me talk, they preconceive who I am, or they judge me by what my accolades have been, and they treat me away. I've dealt with that my whole life, from my neighborhood to school. I've dealt with that. I never come. I am the type of person. My light is always going to shine, and I'm never going to dim it for anybody. And I'm always going to try my best to illuminate others' light. If you have low self-esteem issues and you can't accept the person that has a big light, that is on you. But I'm never taking away anybody else's light to make mine shine brighter.
All right, Knicks fans, what do you think? I think Ash just wanted to be heard, not stepped on, when she was speaking. And I think Julito really wanted to talk about Randle, his body language, and what it means to be a leader. All good things. I think both parties had good arguments. I think the landscape of the league is changing, where mental health is becoming really important. Your workplace, not having a hostile workplace is becoming really important. We saw evidence from the 90s and even recently from volatile fans and how it affects players. So you have to accept that the Knicks might lose out on star prospects because of the fans. Because they don't want to deal with us, right? But ultimately, I don't think you can put all the blame on the fans making a hostile environment. I think a lot of it is the ownership. A lot of it, too, is your front office, your coach, the other players on the team, and then, yes, of course, the fans. I think during that whole interaction, somebody should have stepped in to interject. Either CP or JD should have stepped in, just trying to bridge the gap, because ultimately they were both having two completely different conversations. But at the end of the day, they were both, I saw two very passionate Knicks fans. One wants patience and level-headedness and, to be a little kinder, a little more embracing to our players. And the other has so much love and heartfelt passion for the team that he doesn't even see the negativity. He thinks that all that should just fall away because that overwhelming passion and love for the team. And he's not wrong. Neither of them are wrong. The negative stuff affects people just like the positive stuff. So even though it's only a handful of bad extreme fans putting this pressure on our players, we can't deny that it happens, and we can't deny that it does affect them. And that's really what Ashley Moss was getting at, is that it's not our place to say what the players will or won't deal with. You can't say, oh, well, you signed up for this. This is the big city. This is just the way it is. Because at the end of the day, they don't have to participate. Randle can check out anytime he wants, So the fact that he keeps waking up and doing it in our city, you have to respect, and you have to start saying, you know what, maybe he doesn't deserve the criticism today because he woke up and did it. And that being said, I'm not saying completely stop your criticism, because obviously the Knicks have not been playing well, but there's a limit, Contradicting his play is fine. Contradicting his family is not fine, right? There's always a limit, and that's what she was getting at as well, is that Knicks fans consistently cross the line. So let's just get better as a fan base. Let's keep loving passionately like Julito, and let's just be a little more level-headed like Ashley, all right? And that's Big Nick energy, baby, all right? I'm Bert. Thank you.